What's the index looking like? Although that's not the right picture for the market.
Yeah, but I think we are still doing fairly well
Yeah.
because I think we've managed to trade past about the key resistances. The only, I think, test which we are looking out for is the breakout of the 200-day moving average for the Nifty. We're still shy of this average by another 0.5%, 120 odd points for the Nifty on closing yesterday. So that level is around 24,775 mark on the spot levels. Once we break past about those levels, that I think opens up a fresh leg of movement on the upside. Now, there are a lot of positives which were seen yesterday for the markets. For example, the comeback of large cap names like Reliance, underperforming sectors like defense making a very strong comeback. And we've already seen the likes of metals, auto, etc. I think have started to show signs of recovery. The PSU banking stocks outperforming the private sector banking names. So I think when you see the end of the markets in the last 2-3 months, most of the underperforming sectors have managed to make a very strong comeback. And the ones which were left underperforming for the last, I think, few months, even those stocks have started to recover. So I think the market breadth is improving quite strongly. And I think that would probably give us an indication that it's a matter of time that the Nifty breaks past about those key hurdles and the 200 DMAs also.
Kunal, yesterday one saw some leadership names contribute, and I'll come to the defense sector in just a bit, but names like Reliance, SBI ahead of its numbers, BEL, part of the defense pack, ICICI Bank as well, not looking bad at all. Do you think finally you have Reliance, SBI, etc. moving? Because I do recall that you were saying within banks, at least the stance is now shifting to PSBs.
Yeah, so I think specifically on these two names, I would believe so because I think it's been, I would say, too much of a time for Reliance Industries to remain into an underperforming spree. It's just that because of the cash closing day before yesterday, the effect was not seen where Reliance was up 3.5%, and you saw a very marginal kind of a move for the benchmark indices. It's very rare to see that kind of a phenomena. But then I think given the way the stock moved up yesterday, it's tried to challenge back towards the 20-day moving average, 1320 approximately for Reliance Industries. It's managed to close about those levels. I would expect that the stock should see a further up move. In fact, in the last, I think, 3-4 months, whenever the stock has given a 3% plus returns, it subsequently over the next 5 days to 7 days, it's moved up another 3% to 5%. So which means we can expect that the stock in the next 5 days broadly should move up by at least another 50 points.
This is one of your stock picks as well, right?
Exactly, Aisha. So I think Reliance is something which, after quite some time, the stock has made a very good comeback. As I was just mentioning that there's a very good start in terms of the stock moving up by 3% plus, and then sees a follow-through up move for the next 4 to 5 trading sessions. So maybe not immediately, but I think over the next 4 or 5 days, this could be a good short-term trading bet for someone who's looking at this kind of a time frame. Would look at a target of 1355 on the stock price, stop loss to be kept at 1305. And then the second would be a buy on HAL. I think it's been a fantastic breakout the stock had seen yesterday. Good resurgence of momentum for HAL. And the best part about this was the stock coming back into the leadership up move from the entire defense pack, which was something which was missing for the entire sector. So we'd look at 5,250 as a target for HAL, stop loss to be kept at 4750.
Kunal, if you look at the Nifty futures yesterday, we saw some shorts getting covered in Nifty futures, and even in some of the key stocks like an ICICI Bank or for Nifty Bank as well, there's a shorts which are getting covered there. Do you see, the market is poised? Because if I look at the August 18 series, you have the next resistance which is coming at 25,000 there for that, but the support is at 24,300. So there's a band of now nearly 700 points where the Nifty is expected to move.
Yeah, so we call this as range shift for the markets. Whenever the markets find a particular range, dabble around that range for itself in the last, for example, 1.5 odd month, it was 23,750 and 24,300, 350 as a range for the index. The moment we managed to break past about 24,350 mark, which is the resistance in this case, the markets moved on to another 700 point range for itself. So it's the nature of the markets that we move into a phase or a range every now and then whenever we go into hit some kind of a breakout. But I think the best part is, Sajid, I was looking at the data that 24,700 mark being a crucial resistance for the index. Even if you manage to surpass those levels, I would believe that the next hurdle should be at 25,000 mark. So I sense that, say over the next start of next week, once we break past about this 24,700 levels, we could be looking at least another 300 to 350 points. The second and the most important data is I was looking at the mid cap, small cap in the Nifty 50, the number of stocks which are above and below their 200 moving averages. The number is improving quite strongly for the Nifty 50 as compared to the mid caps and the small caps. So, it's like the mid caps and small caps had a fantastic rally. Those stocks are now seeing a bit of a correction, and the large caps are now waking up.
Give us a sense of the PSU banking space, because yesterday we saw PSU banks and defense stocks both rising, and today we have an SBI earnings which is coming. Mostly it is in the afternoon, and so during market hours. So how do you play SBI?
SBI has a very odd tendency during the results. In the last two results, at least, it's corrected post the results. So it's very difficult to anticipate that whether this could be a third time change or a third time repeat for the stock. But then, looking at the way many of the PSU banks are structured on the charts, it looks like that this could be a better performing sector than the private sector banking names, which had done reasonably well. But then I think the likes of HDFC Bank, etc., have underperformed. SBI particularly, the stock has a hurdle around 1100 mark. 1086, I think, if I'm not wrong, is where the stock closed yesterday. I would wait for a breakout confirmation about 1100 mark for SBI. So even if it rallies up, say, a couple of percentage points higher post the results, I would still be comfortable buying the stock at those confirmation breakout points. But because whenever that happens, I would expect that the stock would at least give you a further 7% to 8% up move beyond the 1100 levels.
I'm curious to know, Kunal, what you make of some of the diagnostic players. Vijaya Diagnostics came out with very strong numbers. I'm trying to get a sense, and Metropolis wasn't too bad either, and therefore just trying to get a sense as to how you look at them on charts and whether anything's really standing out.
So the two names which I do track from the space, one is Metropolis and the other is PathLabs. I think both of these stocks are looking fabulous on the charts. For example, Metropolis, the stock managed to break past about 500 levels, and the moment it did, it managed to complete a huge cup and handle pattern, and that spread across the last 2 years for the stock. So that's like a very strong indication of a big breakout and a big up move starting off for Metropolis. Similar is the case with PathLabs. Even that stock, I think, has confirmed a very strong breakout move, and this comes after a patch of a major consolidation the stock had gone through. So I think both these stocks, I would sense, look very attractive. Vijay Diagnostics I have not tracked, so I'll skip that.